Good morning, good afternoon, maybe even good evening, depending on where you are in the country or the planet. This is Steve Vetterl. I am the Chief Market Analyst, your risk manager today, October 7th. Welcome to the Forecast for Trade Week call. So you guys should be seeing on the screen, if you could give me just a quick heads up, the weekly software insight. So hopefully you can hear me okay and you can see the screen. So just give me a quick yes in the chat window would be fantastic. I'm going to make sure we have, I got a bazillion screens open here, sharing all kinds of different stuff. So this particular picture really should be ingrained in everybody's head. Make sure you share this. I'm actually putting this in and I'm completely revamping all of my back office notes. So a lot of the Einstein and Alexander specific stuff in my notes is being completely shifted around. I am welcome to feedback of what you guys would like to see in the notes. I'm going to show you a draft towards the end and maybe solicit some feedback of what you guys would like to see. Just keep in mind, a lot of people that are subscribers. We have a lot of new subscribers, so welcome. You guys are in store for hopefully some life-changing stuff, both socially and financially. I'm going to make sure we're communicating all of this. So let's quick do the disclaimer, our favorite part of the call, right? Trading the foreign exchange market carries high risk and may not be suitable for all investors. Trading on margin, utilizing leverage can carry an even higher level of risk and can lead to complete loss of investment funds. So before deciding to trade the foreign exchange markets or using any of our software alert proxies, carefully and consider your personal investment objectives, level of experience, risk tolerance. Keep in mind there is a possibility to lose all of your investment. That is the case in almost any kind of investing. Believe it or not, even in municipal bonds, which have gone kapoof in the past as well, i.e. Orange County's bankruptcy in the early 90s. In any case, disclosure screen 2, make sure I'm sharing this correctly. Yeah, there we go. If you're sharing any of your results from using our software tools, that's anything, especially in the designated Facebook groups, please do not use the term company recommended settings, right? We don't want to give any of our regulators a resume building event. So any of Auvoria Prime does not have any recommended settings from the developers and or myself. We are not a financial advisory firm, but I am. We license software the users can use however they want at their own risk and discretion. Some software does come out of the box with initial setups, which you have the ability to customize these settings however you want. Auvoria Prime has nothing to do with the customer's brokerage account. We don't recommend brokers. We will not be recommending brokers. We can't see inside your account. We can't trade them. We can't solicit or take investments. No brokers. I should say not all brokers are good. So there is a difference between an A and a B side broker. Do be aware of that. Our primary role at Auvoria Prime is just to license outstanding software and build an amazing educational section. And I can tell you, which I'm about to show next, some great stuff. And if you guys have not gone through, I would highly recommend it. So any of the settings that your man on the mic here, are not company recommended for educational purposes only. So let's go take a quick look into, actually, I think I'm going to show, let me show this screen to you guys here next. Let me get out of this. Is everybody here subscribed to the Variable and Gearbox channels? Do you guys know the links to the channels? Have you clicked on them? Let me switch over to that screen so you can see them. I'm gonna make sure, because honestly, this is the Gearbox channel right here, okay? And Tyler's done just an incredible amount of work to get to where we are here. This is the Variable channel. Okay, do keep in mind this corresponds with obviously everything that Dasan and Tyler and all of our newer developers that will have their own channels will be talking about all kinds of stuff. Mostly the software insights gives you sort of ready, a little more of a deeper dive. Obviously, I'm going to stay kind of big picture until I get on board, but we are developing an outline or a framework, if you will, of everything that we're all going to share across all of the software. So it's going to be a consistent, what pairs we trade in for the week, thoughts about the market, obviously news events that I'm about to go into next. So guys will always welcome any feedback from what you want to see. So let me close out of this PowerPoint here. Switch the screen over to the calendar, Forex Factory. So for those of you who've been living under a rock, we have a contested presidential election, which isn't any surprise. A lot of people in the market saw this. There's been a lot of voting system irregularities that have popped up, and it's going to take a while for it to shake out. So that brings in another element of more aggressive or a potential higher risk. Let me shift over to that screen. In the marketplace, in whatever you're trading. So you should be seeing the Forex Factory calendar. For those of you who are new, this is forexfactory.com. This is the most authoritative place, and in most cases, the most accurate of news stories. We only filter out, in my opinion, the red folder events. These are stuff that could have big impact on currencies, equities, markets, futures, commodities, whatever, the credit markets. And I just get rid of the smaller, just looking only at the red folder events. So for next week on Monday, and I know that I had some really positive feedback from a lot of the developers, as well as many running demos and live accounts last week. Both softwares actually did really well. There's different settings, obviously, and there's a whole mess of FX books coming out on all of this. So I figured I'd let new versions be released and get shaken out before I dive into setting up live accounts as well. But I'm going to have live and demo accounts on both Gearbox and Variable of varying sizes and currencies. And we'll get into that. It's been a bit delayed, and that's mostly been my fault trying to get everything all set up. I wanted to wait for further versions of software and any bugs, which is inevitable, just to get ironed out. But everybody's done a really good job of getting most of the bugs ironed out, which is great. Usually this takes months to get this stuff straightened out. I can't tell you how many times Ninja Trader version 7 trades the futures markets was a complete piece of crap for almost 6 months. And it took them forever to get it straightened out. That was many years ago. So if you're not part of the Gearbox channel, I would subscribe. You'll be able to go on my Telegram channel and or then my notes in the back office and see that just with one of the questions I see. So Monday, Bank of England, Governor Bailey speaking. Obviously, this certainly could affect GBP, especially if there's any comments coming out around Brexit. Again, on Tuesday, anybody trading any of the NZD pairs, just be careful. This stuff is very volatile, especially in NZD, GBP, NZD land. Anything related to it for that matter. Do know that all day in Canada and the US is a bank holiday. Okay. So coming up on Remembrance Day here for in terms of Canada, and here in the US, this is Veterans Day. So one of the big holidays that we're observing. Don't know this, it could bring some calmness to the currency markets just because it's a bank holiday. Typically the big liquidity providers are less active. I could be wrong, especially if something hits the market and surprises it in that relation. So on Thursday, Powell is speaking, the Bank of England. I mean, it's basically a week that's fraught with all kinds of folks speaking, literally every day, with the exception of Wednesday. So for those of you running through all news, obviously you're going to ignore this stuff. You're running through all news and so forth. But those that are accepting trades, we're going to get into next what's going on. So we'll start off with the dollar. Now, this is a daily charts, tradingview.com. It's not super important that you guys have all this stuff memorized. The point I'm just trying to illustrate here is we spend an inordinate amount of time, arguably a pretty decent amount of time basing on the US dollar. So it is certainly possible this move over the last 4 days could actually break below the support that's going on for that. So what does that mean? That means that, let me just reset this here. That means that if we break this, anybody that's accepting trades in the euro US dollar, okay, more than likely we're going to have a fairly protracted move above, and this is the Euro US dollar chart we're looking at. And again, it's just daily. So if you're accepting trades and we break above this position, we may finally, could be wrong, we may finally start to see a fairly protracted move higher up out of arguably, which has been a very tight balance area that we've been running in since the middle of July, when we broke from a very, very well constructed cup with handle pattern up into our current sort of bouncing around. This is just what I call auctioning between levels. And eventually we're going to break above that. It's all going to be, everything's going to be dollar dependent. So as the dollar drops, so goes gold up. Notice that gold spiked up. Now we're up against a nice support. This could burst above. If this actually does this first, it could drag the dollar down further. So I posted, which I get's kind of confusing, but I posted last week on my Telegram channel research from Tommy Thornton, who runs Hedge Fund Telemetry. He's a colleague of mine on the analysis and futures and fund trading space. Guys puts out some of the best research on the street because he is a DeMark expert. So there's a DeMark primer in there if you want a little bit of education on who Tom DeMark is, or why all hedge funds use his what's called TD sequential countdowns, which is more than just a very sophisticated wave count. But the cool thing is it's basically showing that what I've been talking about for months, and that we may see a push lower. The whole idea behind the rather in-depth explanation on this is to have everybody just be more attuned to what's going on with the dollar. Obviously, for now, it is the director of all that's going on, unless Brexit talks start ripping out again, and then the British pound and the euro will be in the lead. But for now, it's taking front and center stage. Hence why you're seeing a lot of research coming out on it as well. So the folks out there that are running NAV, or what you call US versions of the software, that are accepting trades on the Euro US dollar stuff or GBP USD, these levels are something to take a closer watch, because I mean, promise you, there is pockets of stops up here on people that have really big long-term positions on these currencies. And if we break above it, the tendency is to rip up into these new areas to take out all these stops, because I can promise you there are loads of them building up here. And it's just a matter of just a zipper breaking free, and it'll just tear up into the next area. And it's always difficult if you're accepting shorts, right, on that breakout. There certainly is an argument that we'll go back down into the range again, right? But a catalyst may present itself. It is always necessary on a more grander macro scale in order to have an event, if you will, that could push us out of a tight balanced range like we've been in with most currencies. Okay. So just note that on Euro US dollar. Let's take a look at GBP. Again, same story, daily chart. I always prefer to look at dailies, but you can shrink them down to weeklies or monthlies. But this is sort of the break point. I could see it sail up here, especially if we get any real serious weakness in the dollar. Like I've talked about, be tougher for me on manual-based trade alerting type of our software versions to be accepting lots of shorts when we're ripping up into this area. All right, USDJPY. Now, just like I mentioned last week, I'm pretty sure we were going to break and head right down to the bottom of the channel. So I got a bunch of emails from people that were taking manual trade alerts, and they weren't accepting any longs once this broke. And this definitely kept them out of some hot water. So this is why my analysis and not necessarily does require lots of understanding, other than if we break a particular level. Watch out. Euro JPY. This has been a little more difficult to see. I don't really like trading this, so it's hard for me to gauge what's going on with this currency other than just looking at support and levels, and the fact that the 200-day, which is the green line, moving average 200, is typically an area of support or an area of bounce, if you will, off of any big move lower, should hold, should this break. GBP NZD for you folks that like the Wild West. This one really has been quite calm. I think a lot of that has to do with cooled out Brexit. it could be very active going forward. So Q&A. The developers are trading next week. Okay. That's where we are with Einstein Alexander. And that's what I wish that Riley and Bill would shoot some insight calls like our other two developers do. That would give me more of a good communication for what they're doing. So that's it for analysis. Here's one thing I did want to show you. This is the AP Academy. If you have not gone in here, or some of your newer subscribers haven't gone through all this, this is what a lot of our team has been spending a tremendous amount of time off. So for hats off to Kano and Susan, who've really put a tremendous amount of time in here, and everybody. I mean, this is what it looks like when it's completed. These will not be available to be clicked on until you can go through all of this right here. Okay. And let me make sure I'm sharing this screen so I'm not talking ahead. So let's see, back office. Oh, here we go. All right, so here is the AP Academy. This is brand new. Oh, this is great stuff. I tell you, this is like an educator's dream, right? This is a very smaller piece of my current life on the future side of the biz, right? So I would love to have something like this. I mean, you just got to go through all these as I've done here. You have to finish off the top 3 tabs before you can get into the EA Academy. And this is the big one here. I'm going through it, but it just shows that we're all completed these modules. And then you can move into the Forex Basics and AP Live. Okay. So now in AP Live, when you click on this, this is where, in addition, you're going to have access to all of our stuff, and also on the Telegram channel, which has been renamed, as you may have noticed, the Market Watch, with yours truly, that we have links to the Vimo forecast archive. So both Vimo and YouTube, the archives are in there. You can go all the way back to some of our bigger calls, like when we did the high volatility settings for Einstein and Alexander at the end of April. All right, so that's the Academy. I just wanted to show that to you guys. Let's take a quick peek at Variable. So here is, sharing the right screen. Here we go. Okay, so here's Variable live on US dollar based account. You can see we have a 1 to 300 leverage here, by the way. So the performance of this software, and you can see that we had the trades closed over last week. Okay, so just a quick calendar here. If you can see, this was election here, and I wasn't running at all this week. We're going to be turning everything on come Sunday morning on almost everything. But I still think there's a good chance the 9th through the 13th next week. Obviously, we've got a lot of news stories, but we're going to have probably some surprises come out for different stuff. I wouldn't be surprised if the Brexit chat starts to heat up again towards the end of the year, and or obviously lots of central bankers speaking next week. So, but do note of we'll be turning this back on. Do note that the performance of this through 600 trades, it's been really good, you guys. A 65% win rate. You can see the summary of the pairs that we're trading. So I have not had a chance to listen to Dasan's call. Both him and Tyler are going to be putting together like a little mini notes window that they'll both post in their Telegram channels. As I mentioned in the beginning, I will be posting that as well, so everybody just sort of gets it in we're essentially rubbing your face in this and making sure everybody gets this down. So what am I missing? Could you please value GBP CAD and CAD CHF pairs? I can. There's just not a lot going on with those guys. So I'm going to try to keep these calls short. as I can these days. Because honestly, you guys, beyond maybe 15 minutes of my call just going through this stuff, you guys really need to be listening to these developer calls, right? So just taking some quick hits from myself, but I really think the drill down and the time that should be spent from a risk management standpoint beyond what I'm talking about is in the developer calls. So I'm trying to keep them short, going through quick Q&A so everybody can move on and get some of that next week. What I would suggest, Thomas Slava, set up a TradingView account. It's just tradingview.com. I have no affiliation to these guys, but this stuff is fantastic. I mean, this is almost Bloomberg level type of analysis that you're getting for 15 to 20 bucks a month. It's just a raging deal. These guys also have like 25 feeds coming into this software, which is beautiful. I may even switch my futures platform to this. Can you believe that? I think the guys at Lensoft would probably be like, "What happened, man? You bailed on us." Okay, cool. Any other questions? Anything else? I'm gonna let you guys go because trust me, you guys need to do other stuff other than listen to me drone on all day. So if you don't have any other questions on anything, get out, watch some calls. Thanks again, everybody. Today, again, the 7th of October. I wish everybody a fantastic week of trading. May the trades be with you. Vetteral, off the mic.